Hey everyone, welcome back to WhoMeTalk. Let me ask you something. Has this ever happened to you? Someone says, I love pizza, and you want to agree, but then you freeze. Do I say me too, so do I do too? They all sound right, but are they? And then it gets worse. Someone says, I don't like mushrooms. Now what? Me too doesn't sound right. Me neither, I don't either? Help! If you've ever felt lost trying to agree or disagree in English, this video is going to clear everything up. By the end, you'll know exactly which word to use, when to use it, and why. Let's get into it. Part 1. Agreeing with positive statements. Let's start with the easy one, agreeing with positive statements. When someone says something positive, not positive as in happy, but positive as in grammatically affirmative, there are three main ways to agree. Let me give you an example. Your friend says, I think Mitt Romney is going to win. Or more simply, I like apples. Now you feel the same way. What do you say? Option 1, using to. The first option is to. The rule is simple. To goes at the end. So if your friend says, I think so, you can say, I think so too. Notice where to is, right at the very end. If the original sentence uses a helping verb like do, you can also say, I do too. Here, do is the auxiliary verb that matches the original statement. You're basically saying, I do think so too, but shortened. And the most casual, everyday version is simply, me too. This is perfectly fine with friends, family, and informal situations, but be aware, it's very casual. In a business meeting or a formal presentation, you might want to choose I do too or I think so too instead. Option 2, using so. The second option is so, but here's the trick. So goes before the auxiliary verb. It's an inverted structure. So instead of I do too, you flip it and say, so do I. Notice the order, so plus auxiliary verb plus subject. So do I, so can I, so would I, so am I. Let me give you more examples so this pattern becomes natural. Your friend says, I can swim. You say, so can I, not so I can. Your friend says, I am tired. You say, so am I, not so I am. Your friend says, I wouldn't go there alone. You say, neither would I. See the pattern? So plus helping verb plus I. It's like a little grammar dance. Option 3, direct agreement. And of course, the simplest option for opinions is just to say, I agree. This works perfectly when someone expresses a view or an opinion. It's clean, it's clear, and nobody will ever be confused. Quick summary, agreeing with positives. So when someone says something positive, you have three paths. To at the end, I think so too, I do too, me too. So at the beginning, so do I, so am I, so can I. Direct, I agree. Easy so far, right? Now let's get to the part where most people get confused. Part 2, agreeing with negative statements. Here's where the trap is. When someone says something negative, you cannot use to or so. You must switch to a completely different set of words. Let's say your friend says, I don't think he will win, or I don't like peanut butter. You feel the same way. You also don't like peanut butter. What do you say? If you say me too, that's wrong, because to and so are for positive statements only. For negatives, we use neither and either. Option 1, using neither. First, let's talk about neither. A quick pronunciation note, you can say neither or neither. Both are correct. Choose whichever feels more natural to you. Neither follows the same inverted structure as so. It goes before the auxiliary verb. So if your friend says, I don't like peanut butter, you say, neither do I. Notice the pattern. Neither plus auxiliary verb plus subject. It's exactly the same structure as so do I, just with neither instead of so. More examples. Your friend says, I can't swim. You say, neither can I. Your friend says, I am not hungry. You say, neither am I. Your friend says, I wouldn't go there alone. You say, neither would I. The pattern never changes. Neither plus helping verb plus I. And just like with positive statements, there's a casual, informal version. Me neither. This is very common in everyday conversation. But again, be careful.
Avoid it in formal business settings or high-level meetings. In those situations, stick to neither do I or neither am I. Option 2. Using either. Now, the second option for negatives is either, and here's where it goes. Either goes at the end of a negative clause. So instead of neither do I, you can say I don't either. Notice the structure. The sentence stays negative with don't, and either sits at the end. More examples. I can't swim turns to I can't either. I'm not hungry turns to I'm not either. I wouldn't go there turns to I wouldn't either. So you have two choices for negatives, neither at the beginning, neither do I, either at the end, I don't either. Both mean exactly the same thing. Use whichever feels more comfortable. The most common mistake. Let me highlight the most common English learners make. Someone says, I don't like mushrooms. You say, me too. Wrong. This is wrong. Me too can only respond to positive statements. For negative statements, you need me neither or I don't either. Think of it like this. To and so are the positive twins. Neither and either are the negative twins. Never mix the positive twins with a negative statement. That's how mistakes happen. Part 3. Disagreeing. Now, what if you don't feel the same way? What if you have a different opinion? This is actually simpler because you move to an entirely different set of expressions. The most natural way to disagree is simply to state your own contrasting thought. For example, your friend says, I think Mitt Romney will win. You say, I think Obama will win. Your friend says, I love pineapple on pizza. You say, I don't like it at all. You're not using to or neither because those are for agreement. You're simply expressing your own different view. Direct disagreement phrases. If you want to be more direct about your disagreement, here are some phrases you can use. I disagree. Simple, clear, and direct. I don't think so. A slightly softer way to disagree. I think differently. This is polite and respectful. It acknowledges that the other person has a view, but you see things another way. These phrases work in both casual and formal settings. Bonus for exam takers, a high-level word. Before we wrap up, I have a bonus tip for those of you preparing for exams like IELTS or TOEFL. If you want to sound more formal and academic in your writing or speaking, there's a high-level synonym for agree, the verb concur. Instead of saying, I agree with that conclusion, you can say, I concur with that conclusion. It means exactly the same thing, but it shows a wider vocabulary range. Examiners love that. Just remember, concur is formal. Don't say, me concur to your friends. They'll look at you strangely. Save it for essays, reports, and formal discussions. Complete summary. All right, let's bring it all together with a complete summary table. For positive statements, to at the end, I do too, me too. So at the beginning, so do I, so am I, so can I. Direct, I agree. For negative statements, neither at the beginning, neither do I, me neither, casual. Either at the end, I don't either. Never use me too for a negative statement. For disagreeing, state your own view, I think the opposite. Direct phrases, I disagree, I don't think so, I think differently. Bonus vocabulary, concur is formal agree for essays and academic contexts. Memory trick. Here's a simple memory trick. Imagine two teams. Team positive wears bright, happy colors. Their players are named to and so. Team negative wears dark, cool colors. Their players are named neither and either. When someone sends a positive message, Team positive responds. When someone sends a negative message, Team negative responds. Never send a positive player to answer a negative message. That's how mistakes happen. Outro and challenge. Okay, now you have everything you need to agree and disagree in English with confidence. No more freezing, no more me too when you should say me neither. You've got this. Now here's a challenge for you. In the comments below, answer these two questions. Question 1. Your friend says, I love chocolate. How do you agree using so? Question 2. Your friend says, I don't like waking up early. How do you agree using neither? Write your answers in the comments. I'll be reading them, and I might feature some of my favorites. If this video helped you, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to WhoMeTalk if you haven't already. It really supports the channel and helps me keep making lessons for you. I'm Wasifa, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!